Hey guys, what's up? Manny here. Welcome back to the second part of the video. Today, we're going to be building Oneshotkido's computer. You ready to build?
Yeah.
Alright, let's get into it. Alright guys, let's start on the build. First we got the motherboard. We went with the B450 MSI Tomahawk Max Wi-Fi. This is a good little motherboard. We're going to pair it with the AMD 3600. Important fact here, when you put in the CPU in, it's going to be a little arrow on the corner of the CPU. You're going to want to line that up with the arrow on the motherboard. You're going to place it right in. No need to push. It'll fall right into place. You're going to lock it in and you're good to go. Now we're going to install the RAM. We went with the Corsair 3200 in white. I love how this RAM looks, and it's going to look really good inside the case. To install the RAM, you're going to open the tab on the RAM slot. You're going to line up the notch and you're going to push it in until you hear it click. Be sure to check your owner's manual to see which slots to put it in, depending on your configuration. With this one, we're going with dual channel, and we're going to put it in slot A2 and B2. The other slots are open if we want to upgrade later down the road. Next, we're going to install the CPU cooler. We went with the AMD Prism. To install this, there's going to be two tabs on the sides. You're going to lock one side into place, put it over the other side, slide it in, and there's a lever. You're going to turn the lever. It's going to lock it right into place. Don't worry about the thermal paste. This already was pre-applied. Now here we're going to take the CPU fan wire. We're going to plug it into the CPU fan header. This cooler has RGB. On the side of it, there's a little slot. You put the wire into it there. You're going to take this wire and you're going to run it to the RGB header on the motherboard. Ours is up top here in the corner. Don't worry about the wiring. We're going to fix all that when we get inside the case. Onto the case. Here we're going to remove the front door off the case. Now we're going to go to the back and remove the back panel, revealing all the wiring for the case. Now, we're going to put the case on the side, and we're going to take the motherboard. Here I'm looking at the holes to make sure we have enough stands to hold the motherboard. We were missing two, so we're going to take here and screw in the first one. Then we're going to go on to the second one. We're also going to make sure all of them are tight. This way when we're screwing in the motherboard, they don't come loose. Next, we're going to install the rear I/O shield. Here we're going to take it out as packaging. Go put it on the rear of the case. You want to push firmly against all the corners. Make sure it clicks into place. Now we're going to take the motherboard, tilt it at an angle, slide it into the rear I/O shield. We're going to make sure all the holes line up with the stands. And we're going to start screwing them in. I think there was a total of 9 screws. I took my time putting them in before I did a final tightening to make sure the motherboard was nice and secure. Next, I'm going to run the CPU power wire. We have a pink sleeve extension for this one. Now, we're going to remove the front panel and the dust shield on top. Now to the fans. We're going to be installing the front 3 fans here. You want to put the wiring towards the back. This way it makes for a cleaner install when you do the wiring. I like this case because it has 3 fans in front, 3 120mm fans. This is going to bring a lot of airflow to the case and help with the cooling. Now we can put the front panel back on the case and go ahead and install the other 3 fans we have. First, we're going to take the top 2 fans and put them in. Again, make sure the wiring is towards the back. Now to the last fan, the one in the back. You're going to put in the back here, line up all the holes, and screw in the 4 screws. Now to the power supply. We went with the Evga 600 watts. You're going to put the power supply in the bottom of the case. There's 4 screws in the back. Line the holes up and screw them in. Here we got the 24-pin extension cable sleeve. We're going to plug it into the motherboard side and then run the cable to the back of the case so we can plug it into the power supply. In the rear of the case here, we're going to plug in the 24-pin and the 8-pin to the power supply. We're also going to plug in the 8-pin cord for the GPU and run it to the front of the case. Next, to the case wiring. You can see me here pulling all the wires to the front of the case. You should check with your owner's manual. There's usually a diagram in there which will help you out with where all the case wiring goes. I had my brother, Nick Della, help me out. He's pretty good with computers. He also has a podcast called The Last Good Podcast. You could check it out on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, and all other podcast platforms. Since the SSD is going to be in the front of the case, I figured we should wrap it. Wrap it pink, this way it'll match. We're going to use the 3M vinyl wrap. First, we're going to take alcohol and wipe the SSD down. This way we take all the fingerprints, dirt, and oils off the case. We're going to peel the backing of the vinyl wrap and apply it to the SSD case. You want to take your time doing this so you don't leave any air bubbles. Once you got it down, you're going to apply some pressure and work out all those little air bubbles and air pockets. Now you're going to work on the edges. You're going to stretch and fold over the vinyl. Keep working it till you don't have no more creases or any lines in the vinyl. Now we're going to use a knife. We're going to go around the edges very carefully to take off the excess vinyl. This part here, I slowly cut around the SATA ports. Give it room so we can plug them in later. Here we're going to peel off all the excess vinyl and we're going to make sure all the edges are on good, nice and tight with a little pressure. I think it came out pretty good. Now we're going to put it in the case. Here at the rear of the case, we have to take out two of these panels to fit the GPU. For the GPU, we went with the 1660 Ti from MSI. To install this, you want to open the tab on the PCIe slot and insert the graphics card until you hear it click. Now, we're going to take the 8-pin power cord and plug it into the side of the graphics card. Here we got two RGB strips, and they're magnetic. We're going to run one to the top of the case and one on the side of the case. Now to the wiring. This is a mess. A few dozen zip ties later, boom, cleaned up. Now we put the back panel on and looks like we're almost done. Oneshotkido is going to help me out here. She's going to install the Wi-Fi antennas to the back of the motherboard. She's also going to add the final touch. Hey guys, we're finally done building the computer. We got all the parts in and we cleaned up all that wiring in the back. Oneshotkido, are you excited?
Yeah, can we turn it on?
Yeah, go ahead, push the power button. Alright, before Oneshotkido could play, we gotta do some installations and updates. First we started by installing Windows. Then we went over to MSI's website and downloaded the drivers for the motherboard. There was like 5 different drivers we had installed. And we also saw that the BIOS wasn't up to date. So we're gonna have to fix that too. Next, we went to NVIDIA and downloaded GeForce Experience for the graphics card. And we made sure it was on the latest update. Here we went to MSI. We downloaded the Dragon Center to help us control some of the RGBs connected to the motherboard. Now we're here in the BIOS. We're going to be looking for the RAM and the RAM profile. We want to enable XMP and have the RAM run at 3200 megahertz. From the factory, if you don't change this, you'll only be running around 2600 megahertz. So to get the full advantage of it, you have to go in there and change the profile. Here we're saving the settings, and now we're going to update the BIOS. Okay guys, the computer's all done. We downloaded the drivers and we updated the BIOS. You can see here Oneshotkido playing a little bit of Fortnite. Before we go, Oneshotkido got a question for you guys. Which pop you think looks better in her case? You got Majin Buu here, or we got the Cuddle Team Leader? Hey, if you guys like the video and want to see more content like this, drop a like or a comment down below. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.